Welcome to Pick Up and Deliver, the podcast where I pick up my audio recorder when I drop my kid off at school and deliver an episode to you while I walk home. I'm Brendan Riley. Well, good morning, listeners. It is the 3rd of June, and it is a cool morning here in suburban Chicago. It is a little chilly. I'm wearing a light jacket. My hands are a bit cold, and it looks like it might rain today. So glad I'm staying in and working. It is the third to last day that my children have school. They get out of school on Wednesday. So after that, I'm not quite sure what my recording schedule will be. I look forward to continuing to record over the summer as I did last year. I recall last year I recorded while my daughter was at swim practice because she had a swim practice at a different pool than usual. But I think that they're not at that pool this year, so I'm not sure I'll have that specific time where I drive her to this pool and then I have like an hour and a half to kill and I take a walk. So there may be a bit of a hiccup while I try to figure out what the new podcasting schedule will be. But as soon as I know, you will know, and you'll find out because I will start releasing episodes. But today is the first episode I'm recording in June, which means I get to provide for you the end of June summary, which is one of my favorite episodes, or end of May summary. This is one of my favorite episodes to do. It's the top of the stack. That was my top of the stack song, which I will use from now on, I guess. So it's the top of the stack. Once again, a head nod to the podcast of Nonsensical Gamers, who coined the phrase as far as I know. They coined the phrase as far as I know, and I've been using it shamelessly ever since. So that is the place and role of the phrase top of the stack. If you haven't listened to this kind of episode before, top of the stack describes a set of 3 games that I have picked out that I would like to play this month to try to get them to the table. It also is the episode where I kind of summarize my last month's gameplay and report on how I did on my previous top of the stack. So let's start with some monthly stats. I had 64 gameplays in May of 41 different games. My year total is up to 366 plays of 139 different games. So it's been a good year so far. I'm really enjoying myself. I've already played enough games to do more than 1 game per day if I stop now, but I'm not going to stop. We had 8 playtests of our games that we're developing. Again, this does not include playtests we're playing with one another. It only includes playtests that we play with other people. My most played game last month was Welcome To. I played it 4 times. And I'm afraid I'm doing very poorly on my goal to reduce the size of my collection. According to Board Game Geek, it has gone from 319 games at the beginning of the year up to 339. I will say I know I've purchased more than, or acquired more than 20 games. So I'm also doing a good job of getting rid of games, but not at the right speed. So I will leave the report on the top of the stack for the end. I always like to do that. So let's jump right in. First plays this month. The first thing I like to track is new games that I've played that I had never played before. So these could be games that are brand new. They could be games that are new to me. And of course I will leave off the top of the stack games so that to keep some suspense. So I played Minecraft Card Game, ? Which is a pretty simple little set collection game. Great Western Trail, which was a delightful and thoroughly thinky Euro game that came out last year. Was pretty highly hyped. Maybe it came out in 2017. Very highly hyped, but well worth it. I really enjoyed it. I would say this game lives up to the hype if I suggested that the hype mattered at all, which I don't think it does. Except to say that it's a game I've heard a lot about and I really like it a lot. That said, I don't think it's a game I would acquire. I certainly would never get to play it with my wife because she doesn't want to play a game about being a cowboy. No matter how interesting the game could be as a gameplay experience, but I definitely would be happy to play it again if it was on the table. We did play it with the expansion and I enjoyed that as well, although there were an awful lot of things to keep track of, and so I'm sure I did not as well as I could have because it was my first play. I also got to try High Society and Arboretum, both of which I talked about in the Triple Shot Mean Games card game episode. So I played a number of first expansions this month as well, at the beginning of the month. Oh, so that along with I will peek and reveal that I've done 2 of my top of the stack games this month. So along with those 2, that means I've played 50 new games this year, which puts me right on track to have played 120 at the end of the year, because at the end of month 5 I'd played 50. We'll see how that goes. I played 4 expansions, or 6 expansions this month. The Doomsday thematic neighborhood for Welcome To is fine. I think it's a little easy to get a high score in that one. At least it was for me. It probably would not have the same effect if you're playing in a larger group, because a larger group would have more competition for the Doomsday spots. But in a 2-player game, there's a lot of points to go around for that one. Time Stories Madame was great. I really enjoyed that. You're hearing the sound of big wheels, a classic children's conveyance device that I haven't seen in a long time. I had a horrific accident on one when I was a child. I was riding a big wheel going downhill on a asphalt road, and my leg got caught on the ground and then pulled back under the big wheel, so my leg was backwards under the big wheel dragging along the ground while I was going downhill on an asphalt street, and it just ripped my knee to shreds. So that I have a atavistic reaction when I see a big wheel. Not pleasant. Sorry, back to the game. Time Stories Madame was a pleasant and enjoyable experience. I mentioned before that I thought the ending was a little bit disappointing. We still have to finish part of it. That's hard to explain, but when I do, I will have an episode where I'll take 5 minutes at the end of the episode and do a spoiler-laden section. I played The Mysterious Museum, the Exit the Game expansion. I already mentioned Rails to the North for Great Western Trail. And then we played 2 more of the Sherlock games, Last Call and Death on the 4th of July. These are delightful little single-deck card games. Really good 2-player mystery game where you are trying to solve a mystery. And the interesting element is that you have a hand of cards that has clues in it, and you have to decide each turn whether or not to share the clue with your group. At the end of the game, you're allowed to share all the information you saw on the cards. But if you share the clue with the group, then you are specifically saying you think this bit of information is relevant. And at the end of the game, each bit of information you shared that wasn't relevant, you lose points. So it's an interesting give and take where you have to try to solve the mystery. You want to try to remember all the cards, but every card that you put on the table so everyone can see it is potentially points lost if it's irrelevant. So those are fun. Also, the 3 that were released this year were nominated, or were runners-up for the Spiel des Jahres nominations. They were honorable mentions. So those are the new to me expansions this month. There's a thing that I'd be interested to hear on Board Game Geek forum, Guild 3269. Look for the post about this episode. When you are for those of you who log your plays, do you consider like a new chapter of an exit game or a new unlock game to be a separate game, or do you consider those standalone expansions? I think of them as expansions. This is a game system that's been created. A new one is an expansion rather than a standalone game. And that's the way I think of it. So I put these under expansions. So I had 4 Out of the Dust games this month. Reminder, an Out of the Dust is a game where you haven't played it in more than a year. The first one is Zombies with 3 exclamation points. I mentioned this a while back. I played it with the college board game club. Not a fun game, but I had a really fun time. Loop Inc. I got to play again. I played a solo round of it, and I remembered how much I like this game. But that also led me to thinking about mean games a little bit, because this is a game my wife and I played once, and she said, I'm never playing this again. She hated it so much. In part because the game mechanisms itself, even if you're not trying to be antagonistic, they feel really antagonistic. I think I mentioned that in a conversation about this on Board Game Geek with Scott Alms, the designer, he said part of the reason they went with Kwanchai Moriya's art was that they wanted to lighten up the tone a little bit because the game is so cutthroat. Then I also played The Adventures, The Pyramid of Horus, and Ghost Stories. I played Ghost Stories right on the last day of the month, and I will say we won. I haven't played it in more than a year, and it was really fun to win. We were playing on easy, so everybody got 4 chi to start with, and we only had 1 incarnation of Wu Fang in the deck. But still, anytime you win Ghost Stories is a victory in my mind. All right, so on to the 10 for 10 challenges. As a reminder, I'm doing 2 challenges. A 10 for 10 challenge is where you try to play it. You pick 10 games and you plan to play them 10 times each in the course of a year. At the beginning of the year, I started off strong. I was way ahead of the curve. I'm sad to report I've now fallen behind the curve. Well, I don't know. Maybe not. So I was going to say my goal is to do 10% of the 10 for 10 each month. But really that is ahead of the curve. The idea there would be that if I did 10% each month, I'm done by the end of October. I'm supposed to have till the end of December. So if I'm doing 8.5% a month, I'm on track to finish by the end of the year, although my goal is 10% a month. That said, I'm on track, but I'm behind my goal. With my hardcore challenge, which is one where I pick 10 games at the beginning of the year and I'm not allowed to change the list, I'm at 47% complete. And that's Betrayal Legacy, 7 plays, London, 6 plays, Cerebria, 7 plays, Legacy of Dragonholt, still 1 play. But I can tell you right now, that's going to be like Arkham Horror was last year. Once my wife and I start playing it, we're going to book through it. I have no doubt we'll finish that one easily. Sherlock Holmes, 6 plays. Again, that one, I'm waiting just to sort of refresh ourselves a bit. There's a whole nother box of Sherlock Holmes I haven't played yet that we'll pick up. Sagrada is at 8 plays now. Gizmos is at 3. This is going to be a hard one, I think. I really like it, but it hasn't found traction with any of the groups I've played with. I don't have anybody begging to play it. My daughter likes it okay, so maybe she and I will finish it out. Kings of Steam down to 2. This will be the hardest one, because only my daughter likes it, and I don't think she likes it that much. I think she regrets having picked it, frankly. Rainbow Knights, we're at 5 plays, and Rampage, we're at 2 plays. Again, this is a difficult one because it's not really fun 2-player. My son and I are the only ones who like it, so I'm not sure which of those we'll switch out. On the other hand, you are allowed to pick 1 alternate to replace one of the games, and I picked Welcome To, which we've completed. We've actually got 12 plays already, so if I were to swap out one of those, I'm around 57% done. Or 55% done, because I'll have swapped out one of the 47s, or one of the ones that are done for 2 with one that's done for 10. So I'm at 47 or 55% right now, depending if I end up using the alternate or not. My normal challenge, I am cruising along. The normal challenge is easier because you can decide the 10 for 10 as you start. So the games that are popular in the group, you can just put them into the 10 for 10 there. And so in the normal challenge, I'm actually 72% done. I've got 4 games that I played already 10 times. That's Quicks, Wingspan, Onirim, and Codenames Duet / Codenames Harry Potter. I think of those as the same game. Then Rakeholt is at 9 plays, Terraforming Mars at 7, and Eminent Domain at 7, Number 9 at 6 plays, and Underwater City at 5. Then I've also been keeping track of a number of other games. Anachrony is also at 5 plays, Tiny Towns is at 4, and Concordia is at 4. So any of those games could end up, if I play them a lot more, making their way up. Concordia in particular, I'm playing that on Boîte à Jeux, and I'm getting not quite 1 game a month in, but if I push it and maybe get 1 or 2 physical plays of the game in, it wouldn't surprise me to see that at the end of the year I'd played that 10 times. I have a number of other games I've played 3 times, which I'm keeping track of, but aren't likely to make the list. And then finally, I have my Shelf of Opportunity log where I'm keeping track of the games I played. This is the one I'm doing least well on. That said, I've played 50 new games this year, and my goal was to get my Shelf of Opportunity, which is at 53, down to 28. However, I've purchased a lot of games too, so my Shelf of Opportunity started at 57, and I've added another. I'm up to 94 games in my list. Now, a lot of those have been checked off, which is why I'm at 55. So I really need to up my game if I want to reduce my Shelf of Opportunity, or stop buying games. Probably both. I will say that I've made a concerted effort to reduce the game acquisition in the last few weeks. And going into the summer, my wife and I are trying to be pretty thrifty this summer, so I don't think I'll be buying a lot of games this summer. That said, I am going to Gen Con and I'm going to try to participate in the math trade there, so I'll have a bunch of new games that I get, hopefully. And as I sell games, I can use that money to buy games as well. So we'll see. That said, I'm not doing great on my shelf of opportunity. So finally, the top of the stack report here for the end of the month. I previewed it earlier. I was able to play 2 of my 4 games. I have 3 games that are the main shelf of or the main top of the stack, and then I have 1 game that's the repeat, which is a game that I had on there previously that I decided to put on the list again. So my 4 games were A Thief's Fortune, 20th Century, Lord of the Dead, and Blood and Fortune. Now, I mentioned Blood and Fortune, I got that played, and I think I mentioned A Thief's Fortune, I got that played too. That's an interesting little engine builder. I'm looking forward to playing it a little bit more as well. That might be a game where I play it, half a dozen times or a dozen times, and then it leaves my collection, because it's good but not great, I guess, mostly because the cards are kind of repetitive, I think. 20th Century I had ready to play, but I reported it's a 3-player game, and I didn't have 3 players when I was able to get it played. I'm going to I put that on my list for June, so we'll see if I can get it played in June. And then finally, Lord of the Dead is this very cheap game I got on Kickstarter. I tried to play it a couple times. It's just the rules are too bad. I'm going to give it away. I think it's going to leave my collection without having been played, which always feels terrible, but, I only have so much time. So this month, the 4 games on my list, I already mentioned 20th Century is going to be my repeat. And then the 3 new games on the list, I have Apocrypha Adventure Card Game, which I'm going to play as my solo game this month. I have Welcome to Dino World, a new roll and write game. And then the 3rd game that I've added to my shelf escapes me right now. Just a second. And the 3rd game is Impulse, the Carl Chuddick game, which I got my daughter for her birthday in December, for Christmas. We still haven't played yet, so I'm looking forward to playing that. Well, that's it for me. I hope that you'll come by Board Game Geek Guild 3269 and report how you did on your top of the stack this month. And I appreciate you taking a walk with me. I hope that your next walk is as pleasant as mine was. Bye-bye. I'm supposed to have till the end of December, so what would it 8% maybe be the right number there? I never learned my 12 times tables, so 8 times 12 is 80, 96. So it's like 8.5% a month. So if I'm doing 8.5% a month, I'm on track to finish by the end of the year, although my goal is 10% a month.
Brought to you by Rattlebox Games.